Hello to everyone joining today. Welcome to our podcast where we'll be focusing on the topic of perseverance as a student moving abroad or even someone moving in for work. So, we know how we face a lot of challenges, whether it comes from language barrier or whether it's about a culture difference or whether it could be as simple as homesickness. So, today we have Divyanshu Sethi with us where we together will be sharing on stories as students and how we have really persevered in the face of adversity and found success both in academic and personal life. So, starting from thank you, Divyanshu, for being in the show. And let us maybe start from introducing yourself, like as basic as where do you come from? We know you're coming from India, but where in India and why did you only think of Australia while coming as a student?
Thank you, Anjali, for having me. Yes, I come from New Delhi, India. And as for the question why I chose Australia or Melbourne in particular, so before me, my younger brother, he came in 2017 to pursue his bachelor's in psychology. And honestly, my very first thought was never to move abroad, let alone come to Australia. But having given it a thought, since I had already completed like 3 years of my job experience after my graduation, so the next practical step was to go for my master's. And if I had to go for my master's, and if I had to come abroad, my parents had put this condition that I have to come to the same country where my brother stays. It'll be easier for them to track us, basically.
Yeah,
So, hence Melbourne.
makes sense. So valid.
Yeah.
For people who are viewing this podcast, we both come from New Delhi and we both came in 2019. So we started our journey as student, and with a very clear coincidence, we did our masters from Melbourne Uni itself. So would you believe, Devanshu, it has been like it would almost be 4 years in Australia where we started as a student and then we dwell into the COVID stage, came out of COVID stage, and now we are working and or even finding paths in our life. So 4 years calling Melbourne as home.
I know. And someone like me who did not have a very good start to the Melbourne life, like it was a rocky start to say the least. I think I've gotten used to the city now, slowly falling in love with it. Not with the weather, but yeah, with the city, with the vibe of the city. Uh, Now that I look back upon the last 4 years, I think I've really grown as a person.
Yeah,
The setbacks and the highs
yeah,
that I've seen, I can definitely call these 4 years as like a milestone in my life,
yeah.
especially the student life, the
Mm.
2 years or I would say 3 years, thanks to COVID, of the graduation life or the post graduation life.
Yeah. So studying Melbourne Uni, I know we had different, even if we had a different course. So
Yeah,
we were a batch that had seen pre-COVID, during COVID, and also post-COVID. Because
yeah.
I guess there was just one semester that allowed us having those offline facilitation of classes, and then everything starting up.
Yeah.
What would you say was the biggest setback for you, or maybe a biggest culture shock, or could be the biggest um struggle while you came as a student in Australia?
Hmm. Okay, I don't know if it was a setback. I mean, it was definitely a setback for me, but more than that, I would call it a challenge. Uh, I wasn't mentally prepared for the, uh, the way studies are structured in
Mm,
Australia.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
I coming from India and especially coming from IP University, my school spent 14 years in school and everything. Uh, you are sort of used to being spoon fed, be it your
yeah,
tuition class, be it your tuition classes, be it getting those kunjis right before your exams and just mugging out those 10-year papers and giving your exams and then passing even if you haven't attended even a single class. Coming here, there's a very very practical approach towards studies.
yeah,
And so my first thought about studying over here was that there's no right or wrong answer. I just
yeah,
have to justify whatever I'm answering.
yeah,
And the very first exam that I gave, Obviously, I fell flat on my face. I had no idea this is what the question paper is going to look like. This is how they're going to mark us up. Uh, a good wake up call. Or I wasn't ready for it, but yeah, for anyone who is planning on coming to Melbourne or coming to Australia,
Yeah.
please, please be ready.
Yeah.
It is nothing like India.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
not saying that Indian studies are bad or the way we are taught back in India is bad. It's just that it's very, very different.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. I feel for me, again, the biggest struggle or the biggest, as what you said, challenge was also about the structure. Like I came as a very nerd student. Like I'm back
Yeah,
in India, I was also one of those, very book fed student, like who wants to, who can do anything to get the marks and everything. Like forget about going through the comprehensive side of academics, but would
okay,
always want to get into the best of the class and everything. So while I came in Australia,
yeah,
I don't know, for some reason I thought that is how the structure is. So, like, how we are asked to cram things up, we are asked to go through all the books
yeah,
just for the exam, and you could get any question related to any concept, definition, example, whatever.
yeah,
But when I came in Australia, I had the same approach. So before the exam, I'll be mugging up everything. I'll be going on to thousands of books, just going on the libraries. So even if my friends would be partying or would be having a very balanced life, like, or going to parties and while also studying, I
yeah,
thought before exams you need to only study as what you would do in India.
yeah,
And this was the biggest mistake, I would say, um, because all I did was just to study, and my friends also scored the same marks as what I
yeah,
did. But
yeah,
what I also lost was the practical knowledge from the education, the practical, the social side of being in a university, and the opportunity of socializing or maybe joining such clubs. So I feel for me, the one thing that will always be the greatest learning is that you're just not here for studies. Yeah, studies is definitely the epitome of everything, but try balancing every side of university, whether it's about clubs, whether it's about socializing, or whether it's about finding new friends.
honestly, I think we are covering both ends of the spectrum over here. Like you said, that you were the studious one back in India. I
Yeah.
was always the backbencher. So, and as for balancing everything out, I think uh, one of the one of the reasons why I lagged initially was because I did not prioritize studies as much. From the very
Mm,
beginning, from the very first day, I was like, oh no, I need to find a job first.
yeah.
Not even partying. It was about getting the job, getting the money, just sort of getting enough money to survive myself. Uh, and in that process, I sort of forgot why I came to Melbourne in the first place, which was to get my master's.
Yeah.
So yeah, as is rightly put, we have to prioritize. We have to sort of balance everything out. Uh, and yes, priorities is something subjective, but
Yeah.
these are some of the few pointers. Yeah,
So thanks for asking the question, Chris. I did my master's in management and marketing, and I did it from the topmost tier university, University of Melbourne. And it came as a realization later is how the most of the students coming from South Asians are one doing masters of management based on any specialization. And Melbourne Uni, specifically for marketing, they do not provide any scholarship. So first, you tend to pay extra based compared to any other universities while for studying Melbourne Uni. And secondly, there is no sense of scholarship. Like you could not even avail, no matter how good you are in academics or how good you are in non-scholastic things. What about you, Divyanshu? Like, did you have such things while you did your accountancy?
so I did my master's management in accounting and finance, just like
Yeah,
you. Like obviously
yeah,
specialization was a little different. I think, or from whatever I've heard from the other people,
yeah,
scholarships are reserved for the best of the cream, like the top-notch people who have either sort of achieved something academically or they've been all-rounded throughout their lives. So you're either that or you come here, pay the entire fees, and then try to make up most of it.
Yeah. But I feel apart from, even if it's not Melbourne Uni, do you think other universities or other colleges, they also just avoid having scholarship give, or we do get grant?
There are some grants, but you have to be on top of the things from the very beginning, because some of the there are some grants which are not as openly advertised by the
Yeah,
university themselves. There
yeah.
are some grants. Uh, I think the best resource for them would be to reach out to the university themselves, or
Mm,
even just do your own research online. There are grants available, uh, obviously subject to whether you do meet those criteria.
yeah. And we have another question from Banu. Thanks for asking us. Of
Go.
how do we focus or over focus on making money has affected our relationship? Do you think it has been for you, Divyanshu, or do you want me to take this question first?
You go for it, then I'll put my words.
I think it is a very interesting question because while for the first time, if you're coming from the shell of your, where from a period where your parents feed you, you don't have to financially think about yourself, let alone your any of your choices, whatever you even before thinking or even explicitly saying, you have things. So like coming
Exactly.
from that household to really in being in Australia for the first time and also taking care of finances, I won't say I have not prioritized money first. Like definitely financial was a thing because not only I wanted to become independent, but also you are in this race of earning wealth. And I feel for the
Yeah.
first time when I started to earn, it felt so good that I couldn't stop. Like, why do I stop? And the moment when I really bought myself, when I was able to buy as good as groceries, rent, and try to cover up all the expenses, I realized how like that was the feeling of accomplishment because you are not really seeking any financial help from your parents who do
Exactly.
not mind, but despite that you are an adult in real life.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I would say that it took me a while to understand how life is just not about hoarding or just running for money. So even if I look for a part-time job, even if I was in a full-time job, I was always in this fear of what if what if in this part-time job, what if I lose this and how do I pay on my expenses, even if I have a good financial back from India.
Yeah.
So I think there is a mixture of a lot of emotions. So money comes with a lot of emotions. It could be insecurity. It could be how money could be or would be used as a source of privilege in your society. But I have had a fair share of my learnings from money, like whether it's a good or bad. But what I really learned was how to be very grounded, how to also never let money exploit out of the relationship, and
Yeah.
how do you take relationship and money hand in hand.
Hmm. Okay, so with me, I think my relationship with money, it is still a big work in progress. Uh, I still feel like money drives me rather than having any other driving factor to go to a job or finding a job for that matter. Uh, as you said that. So back in India, when I started earning, I remember the very first paycheck that I got. It was 7,348 rupees, which was a paid internship back in 2014. Uh, and I didn't have any, plans of saving it up or putting it to investment or anything. I knew as soon as I got the check, I'm going to enjoy myself. I splurged, I went out with my friends and everything else. But that was because I knew that I had my parents backing me up financially. Then when I started working full time, and I also remember this thing. Starting off, I did not have a very good salary. I got my first bonus check. I was really excited about it, and I remember my father sort of advising me, put this money in an FD, just like any middle class parent would do.
Like every Indian dad have the same advice.
Put it in FD, and I remember having a big, big fight with him that this is my money. I have earned it. let me do whatever I need to do with this. And I've never fought with my dad. I'm very close with my dad. I've never fought with him. I had a fight with him. Uh, Looking back on that situation or scenario, I feel uh, like such a crybaby because I
Yeah,
feel like I was very privileged. I was very how should I put this? I didn't know how to use money.
I know.
I sometimes still think that I'm more of a penny wise but a pound foolish sort of a person.
Oh my
I
God, that's so true. That's so true.
I try to sort of switch off the light bulbs because I have to pay the electricity bill now. I try to switch my tap from hot water to cold water because cold water is cheaper. Um, I'll do all of these things, but when it comes to food, I would rather go out and eat than cook at home just because I'm feeling lazy or because I have that knack for, Macca's or Hungry Jacks or whatever.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, but I know I'm not the right person to say this, but don't let money drive you.
yeah,
There should be other driving factors in your life, but not money. I mean, money is an important part in your life, should be an important part of your life, but please do not let money drive you. It will ruin not your relationships with other people, but it might just ruin your relationship with yourself.
yeah. I think my dad would always say so, like, while I was in India, and I would also do not like as a very older or older sibling or older daughter, I would
Yep.
always be saving money. So I had this thing of futuristic approach with money. So my
Hmm.
dad would be like, "कि Anjali, abhi jitna spend karna hai kar le." Any which way, like, and I would be like, "No, no, I would be spending on my money. I don't want to waste your money. Like, I don't want to buy iPhones and all those expensive designer bags on
Yeah.
your money. I would be doing it in my money." And I
Yeah.
always had this thing. The first time I would be earning very अच्छे से full time में, I'd be paying, I'd be doing this, getting myself in a very luxury bath and everything.
Yeah.
And then I realized he would always say कि अंजलि अभी ऐश कर ले क्योंकि ऐश हमेशा बाप के वैसे से होती है. You're
Exactly.
never living in a very luxurious life. Start earning yourself, and that's the thing. Like, I think I would be very much living in a very comfortable life while I was with him rather than being with myself.
Okay. I mean, imagine back in India, I never had to pay any bills, obviously. There
Yeah,
was no EMI, there was no rent, there was no bills that I need to take care of. Uh, when I started earning, so I was like, अब बड़ा बच्चा हूँ, adult हूँ, so let me just take some responsibilities off of my parents.
yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll start slow. I'll take care of your Wi-Fi bill. I'll do that. I remember the first time I had to pay the Wi-Fi bill, I was like, ये इतना बड़ा प्लान चाहिए क्यों? आप लोग घर के अंदर सिर्फ दो लोग रहते हो. Cut down on the plan.
Oh my god, that's so true.
And my mother was like, बेटा अगर हमने ये सब किया होता ना, तो वो शायद सरकारी स्कूल में पढ़ रहा होता.
I know. I still tell him कि जितना, like, the ways, like, खुले दिल से they have taken care of us. I don't think I can do it with my kids.
No.
Not even do that. And we have another question on how do we balance our finances with the kind of lifestyle you would want to lead in Australia.
Very subjective. It depends on what kind of lifestyle you want to lead in Australia.
I know. But, like, do you think, like, with the cost of living going high and with everything
Mhm.
upspurring, especially with fruits and veggies, could be anything, it is hard on managing finances now compared to what it was maybe when we came, like that was 4 years back.
Sure. I remember back in 2019 when I used to go to Coles or Woolies, my weekly or fortnightly grocery bill used to be averaging between $37 to $45-50
Weekly.
weekly. Yeah. Now that bill is easy $60-65 easy.
True.
Even if I'm going with the homegrown brands, not going for anything fancy,
True.
uh, that pinch you definitely feel that pinch. But um, I mean, you have to make extra.
Yeah.
You have to
I
make extra.
I think whatever we used to, like, especially coming from 2019, I feel we have seen the huge, huge difference to what we could buy in, suppose, $30, things that we could buy in $30 to what we can buy now. Like, I feel my grocery list have literally reduced. Like, I am literally tampering down the prices. Okay, dude, like, it was ये तो पहले बहुत सस्ता होता था, आज ये इतना बढ़ के गया. And, like,
It is
all
noticeable. It is not even subtle anymore.
very much. All the perishables, whether it go for fruits and veggies, whether go for frozen products, you could see a marginal difference from, forget about 4 years,
Definitely.
forget about last year. Like rents shooted up. I feel my savings have, I'm really not crampling to it, but the fact that the way I would be saving last year's to what I'm saving now, it is nothing. It feels like pennies. But I think what I usually do is nothing major, like nothing major that I have invested, nothing major, because I don't know. I'm not comfortable with finances at the moment, but
Mhm.
I have had easy swaps. Like, I would go for more of cooked meal rather than going outside and splurging every day on those outside meals. And, as basic as easy swaps, like just from a very good, well labeled brand, you just come to those home local brands. And I think that's how, like, I know it's like not a huge difference, but this is the least you could do when your income hasn't increased while the cost of living has doubled out. Like, how do you do
Yeah.
that?
Um, okay, again, not the right person to ask. Uh, so for a very long time, at least last year, I was a big believer in saving money.
Hmm.
But very recently, I came across this quote, and I'm not sure who said this, but someone said that it's easier to earn 10 rupees than to save 10 rupees.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I've started moving towards taking up more shifts.
Yeah.
I know it's not a very good advice that I'm giving over here. Just don't sort of wear yourself out, physically or mentally or emotionally. But try and work hard, earn money, try to save as much as you can.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't cut down on your basics.
Yeah. The
Get your food.
basics. It should be
Get
strong.
your
Yeah.
food. Yeah. Again, don't be foolish like me, and be penny wise but a pound foolish sort of a person.
Yeah.
Please get your basics. Please get your fruits. Please get your veggies.
Yeah.
Please eat your proper meals,
Yeah.
because if you don't eat, you can't work. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel there is also this one book that changed my life was Barefoot Investor. So
Yeah.
this is an Australian writer, Scott Pape, if I'm not wrong, but like he talks about steps, like easy steps that you could do while working or while saving yourself into the highest calamity. So like it really helps you um, managing your personal finances.
Yeah.
So I think that helped me a lot, and I would definitely recommend that.
Okay. I'll give it a go.
Yeah, but so like Divyanshu, now that like after that student life, did you
Mhm.
have problems with dealing with filing for TR or any visa issues, or everything was smooth for you?
No, no, no. Far from smooth. Uh, okay. So what I'm going to tell you now is my own doing. No one is to be blamed, but I sort of got late by one day in filing my 485, which is a TR. And because of that, I had to go back to India and file for my TR offshore. I was in India for the last 9, 10 months. I came back to Australia or Melbourne March this year after a good 9, 10 month hiatus. Um,
So when you
yeah,
so I'm so sorry to interrupt you. When you say that, does that mean like whatever the date was for the visa, you
yeah,
did not apply before that?
exactly. So my student visa was supposed to end on 15th March 2021 because of COVID. So I already applied for an extension because of the COVID thing. We had to extend our studies because there were certain subjects that I couldn't do during the pandemic. I extended my visa. I got my bridging visa done, but there is this thing called medical, which is supposed to be done for your student visa, which was due. I couldn't get it done because we were in lockdown, and
Oh,
I got the date for my next medical, like the available medical, was for 16th of March 2022, which is almost 1 year after my student visa was to get expired. But thankfully, I was on my bridging visa, so nothing really happened then. But because of all of this, the dates in my head got a little messed up. and I got my medical done. But till that, like by that time, I had already graduated or I had already completed my studies. So I thought, okay, I don't need a student visa anymore. As soon as my medical got done, I was given a student visa, which was supposed to be valid for 1 month. And within that time, I was supposed to apply for my 485. And I messed things up in my head. The dates got a little messed up. I got late by 1 day. I filed my 485 on the 22nd or probably 23rd, where I was supposed to do it on 21st or 22nd.
Oh my God.
I got a call
All that.
from the, I'm sorry,
Like, who could even thought like how one day could really change your life?
I got a call from the Department of Home Affairs saying that, oh, you do realize you're living in the country illegally, you don't have a proper visa.
Oh no.
And as soon as I got that call, I almost went into a panic attack mode. I started calling, the agents, whoever I knew. I came through IDP. I called them up for any help. I was getting advice and suggestions from everywhere. Uh, I still remember that evening when I was trying to find a way. I was getting so much of information that it was difficult for me to process and go in a particular direction.
Yeah.
Finally, there was this one advice which was sort of common between a lot of people, which was that I can apply for my 485 offshore. And that was the option available thanks to pandemic. That option isn't available anymore. If
Oh my
you if
God.
your student visa expires, you can't apply for a 485. So point of caution, please apply 485 before your student visa expires.
Do you think much of the information have been given to us by the department or by our even our immigration lawyer or could be the university itself
Yeah.
on what happens if you really fail to apply for your TR?
No, no. So had I already known about all of this, the pros and cons or the timelines, or what if I miss out on that deadline, I wouldn't have done that. Having said that, I wouldn't blame anyone because there are people, obviously, 99.99% people apart from me who had applied for their TR on time. Uh, I'll obviously I'm the only one to be blamed, but again, the these departments that you mentioned, they should be a little bit more yeah, proactive about telling people what if they go wrong with
Yeah,
the timelines. That would be really really helpful. If not, like, even if it's not in a scenario where people do apply late, but at least they know or they have that date in their head that okay, we have to apply by that date.
yeah. And what do you think, Divyanshu? Do you think I'm just thinking out loud? What if, like,
Yeah,
how we have a portal of where we keep on our medical or our certificates before filing for TR? What
yeah.
if that portal has somewhere as a timeline or even deadline, somewhere so that you know when is the last date for you to file or complete this application?
Exactly. And what would be even more helpful is that you get a reminder, like a
Yeah.
day,
My God.
even if it's a day before, so that you can at least apply with whatever documents you have on hand, so that you get
Exactly.
at least a bridging visa. At least you get that time to sort of collate the other information and the other documents in time to apply for the visa. Because once you're on a bridging visa, you are safe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah.
are safe. Uh,
I
just
think that's
just be on top of things.
something that should definitely be into the department. Like there should definitely be steps about. So this happened with you. Like
Yeah.
obviously people are cautious, but like what if we are not cautious? Like what happens next? Like we don't want to end up really leaving the country and getting into a lot of troubles. Had a good spine of information been flown to us, fed to us, and also there should be such reminders for. And now that they are taking so many of intakes of so many students, so influx of every kind of students coming down, and
Yeah.
I think there should be such management skills definitely by department helping us the easy sale of student visa to TR visa.
या अगेन जो बात अभी हम लोगों ने करी है और मैं वही रिपीट करूंगा कि there's no point in blaming anyone else. It's better that we are on top of things on our own. We should be prepared. We should be prepared with the dates in our own head. Just write it down somewhere on a calendar, on, I don't know, just post it on your fridge or on the wall.
Hmm.
Just be prepared. और अपने आप से जितना कर सकते हो उतना करो. You can't really. I
Yeah.
mean, I lost good 9-10 months of my life because of all of this drama. There's no
Yeah.
point in me blaming the government or the department for not reminding me, because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it was my own mistake.
Yeah, makes sense. So like even that 9 to 10 months would be a spiral of a lot of self-blaming, any such anxiety or the fact of uncertainty or what needs to be done. Like, should we be even coming back to Australia or India? Like, were you going
A
through
lot,
spirals of thoughts?
a lot. Like I would say uncertainty was the theme of my life for the last 9-10 months. Starting from May 2022 all the way up till February 2023, till the time I got my visa, uncertainty was actually my theme. I can't count the number of nights when I was like, okay, should I just give up on going back to Australia? The next day when I wake up, should I start applying for jobs back in India? Should I start going to or going with my dad and get into the family business? Forget
Yeah,
about this. Although I'd already applied for the visa, should I be, so thick-skinned that even if my visa comes one day, whenever it comes, I don't
yeah,
go back because I finally decided that, my life is going to be here in India itself.
true. But
And yeah, that mm, one of the worst days.
yeah.
But again, very,
What
very
do you
learning
think
day.
you were able to like? What was the thing that helped you sail over the whatever you went through, like the wave of things not working right for you? Like, what at the end made you come back to Australia, and what made you still fight for it?
Anjali, when I look back upon things, so when in 2019 I came to Melbourne for the first time, I did not like it here. There was not even a single day when I did not miss my family, when I did not miss India, when I did not want to go back as soon as possible. Uh, then lockdown happened. I sort of got used to the idea of being alone or being with myself, spending more time with myself. And once the lockdown ended, I started working. I got more used to the city. And then again, I had to go back to India. The only thing that changed in 2022 was I did not want to go to India on my own. It was not my choice. As soon as I came to India, I wanted to come back to Melbourne.
Hmm.
And having spent 9-10 months in India, I did not want to come back to Melbourne now. So
Yeah,
it was all like uh, things were not exactly going my way,
yeah,
but I think that's what life is all about.
yeah,
You have to take all the laws in your stride and just go with it. You should just, you know, do your best.
yeah.
If things work out, work out. And I think I am very lucky that I had a very supportive family. Like my parents, they never sort of forced me that, तेरा visa नहीं आ रहा, अब क्या करेगा वापस आकर के, start your life here.
Yeah,
You seem very dejected every day. Why don't you just forget about it? And
yeah,
anything of that sort, no. They were really, really supportive. They were like, "Ah, jayega, it's okay. Just give it some time. Just enjoy your time." I think, yeah, one of the most common things that I heard from everyone was that enjoy these 9-10 months or whatever. But obviously, we didn't know when my visa was supposed to come, but they were like, enjoy this time over here.
yeah. So we have a beautiful question by Chris
Yeah,
on to if we have had any mental health resources for international students, if that's available. And I do remember you talking about me, I guess it was also off the show, how you went through a lot of mental issues or mental, I would say, um, like you needed quite of mental health support while you started your journey in Australia.
yeah.
So, looking back on that, what do you think resources or support helped you combat that poor mental health that you went
Oh, okay. So there were a lot of factors that really helped me, but I think
through? Any
the
like
most
external
important, I
resources
think
like from external resources?
I think the most important one was to spend more time with myself without any sort of pressure of showing up anywhere or proving someone anything. Uh, and I know I'm one of those very few people who would say that 2020 was a good year. It was a good year for me. I got to spend a lot of time with myself. I took up meditation. I
Mm.
took up, I made it a sort of routine that I had to get out of the house. I know that there was a lockdown, the 5 kilometer iron circle that we couldn't cross, but I made it a point that I get out of the house, I get some sunlight, I spend time with myself. Uh, but before that, I think my journey began with going to a therapist. I did take some counseling sessions
And that
to
therapist
just
is a university-based therapist.
no. So I went to the university resource first. So the person that I went up to, he was a counselor. He heard me, and he said that I need a therapist because things that I was talking about. Because I remember my very first session with the counselor, I ended up crying. I cried my heart out, but I felt light. I felt light after that session. And as soon as my session ended with that counselor, he gave me a number and a reference card. He sent me to one of the therapists in the city. I had 3 sessions because those were the only 3 sessions I could afford. my my insurance wasn't very good. I had to pay some money out of pocket.
Yeah,
Uh, but yes, therapy really, it sort of put me on the path of
true, true,
sort of
true, true.
self heal.
Yeah,
Uh, and a lot of people, especially, okay, I might be generalizing here, but in India, we don't give a lot of importance to mental health.
yeah.
I
There's
might,
definitely taboo still
I,
there.
I, I might be wrong, but I did not give it any importance unless until it happened to me.
Yeah,
My brother was going through mental issues, and I did not give it any importance. I just thought, oh, he's just making stuff up.
yeah,
But
yeah.
things happen. If you can't go to a therapist, probably just confide in with any one person that you're very close to. It could be your parents, it could be your sibling, it could be your friends. Just pick anyone. And if that's also not possible, just start journaling. I think mostly as individuals, we are so bottled up with emotions that
Mm.
once we give them like an outlet, it could be in any way. It could be speaking, it could be talking to yourself in the mirror, it could be writing in a journal.
Mm.
It just helps you a lot. It helps you feel very, very light, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. I think being from even like whether it's about university or college, I feel every university or college have are you okay day, like they propagate a lot about a day that it is a day on to checking your mental health, as basic as that. There's resources onto your university for well-being, for your mental health. So all these things are there. I feel
Yeah,
what is really a challenge is how do you avail them. Like, I feel most of the time you don't even realize that you need them. So even if
exactly.
you know it is there, like the fact that this student union can help, these clubs could help you, and there's like lots of advertisement and already information's floated for you. But question A, like, do you need it? Question B, like, why do I need it? And then there's like there's this feeling of ickiness, like why me? Like why am I only going through it? And like is it the right step? What is the first step? Like
And I
when
think
you say
most of the people, they think of mental health as a taboo. Just like
yeah,
sex, not a lot of people are ready to talk about it.
yeah,
Uh, and I think if we embrace it, if we accept that this is also a part of our life which needs to be looked after, I think more people would. I think world would be a much better place.
yeah. I think I have had a lot of conversation with my friends back in India
Yeah,
where they will always assume that the moment you go out, you're living in a very developed country, you're living the best of the dream that they can't do it. It is very very difficult for them to believe that you could still go through a mental health. For them, it might come in as a comment कि यार सब कुछ तो मिल गया अब तुझे क्या problem है. you know,
Exactly.
you living that independent life, you being as independent as you could be, and you are living a life that they, even in India, you could be always dreaming about. And iske baad bhi you are the one facing the mental health. And I think the real answer is कि mental health does not come with this luxury के मतलब the moment कि you can afford it, so that means you are privileged for having those mental ailment, or like if you're not, you can't. It can be
Exactly.
so situational, like it has nothing to do with what you have and what you don't.
Fair enough. And I think it is very subjective. So for a lot of people, as soon as the word mental health comes, they sort of uh, have a few terms that are synonymous with mental health. They'll either go to extreme ends of depression or probably suicidal thoughts or anxiety, but that is not an exhaustive list. Mental health could be anything from not able to talk to people, for being bottled up with emotions, for being bottled up with, I don't know, childhood traumas that you have never spoken about, or you're just regular day-to-day activities that you don't like to do, but you have to do.
Yeah,
uh, I think if you just give these emotions an outlet, it's going to make your life a lot better.
true. But nevertheless, I would say that moving to a new country, whether for work or whether for education, it is an exciting adventure, but could be a challenging one too. But I think
Yes.
what really helps us, if we are open to learn, we
Yes.
are open on asking for help. And so one quality that really can help you adapt to a new culture is being resilient and perseverant. So
And as you said, be ready for challenges. uh, Things will go down. I can say this with surety. It won't be always, a rosy picture for you. There will be days when you will feel down. There will be some challenges that will knock you down.
mhm,
uh, but rising up from them, dusting yourself, ready for a new day, get out of your bed and take the challenge head on, and
yeah,
you'll be good to go. And
yeah,
I think that is something which is not just limited to Australia. Even if you're living in your native country, you will have those
yeah,
days.
yeah. And I think whatever makes you comfortable makes you also saddened. So like ju- be very courageous getting into
Wow,
a situation.
that is
And
actually so true. So
yeah,
true. Sometimes your comfort zone is not a good thing.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Not always.
Not always. It can get monotonous. Get out
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. And as we come to the end of the show, thanking everyone who joined us to the podcast, everyone who asked questions, everyone. So I also had my nanny being in the show every time. So I think all these things really makes you feel how you are still not far from home. So
Yes.
I would say that do things that makes you uh, make you enjoy, make you love, like learn the local culture, learn the language, make friends. And at the end of the day, I feel whatever that gives you the happiness, deal around that. And it is okay if you have bad days, because I guess everyone go for it. It's all about how do you really get up after that stormy storm.
One of my favorite quotes from Batman movie is, "Why do we fall, sir? So that we can learn to pick ourselves
Yeah,
up." That should be the motto of a life,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. And I
Because we
think,
will fall. We will fall.
yeah, you tend to see opportunities even into the roadblocks. So like not it's all about having that positive attitude.
For sure.
And again, Divyanshu, thank you so much for joining us, sharing your stories, helping us be inspired by your own poignant ones. And I'm
Thank you
so
for
sure
having me.
after
Thank you
this
so much.
podcast we'll be learning so much and helping. And thanks for sharing the visa thing. Like honestly,
Yeah.
I think I'm so sorry that you went through it, but I think after that, people would be much more cautious about not getting into
Yes.
what you went through.
Yes. As we just talked about it. Now that I look upon it, I love those days that I spent in India, those days that I spent in uncertainty. I obviously learned something out of it. But yes, don't make the same mistakes that I've made. Learn from my mistakes, and Yeah, it's a great country. It's a great city. You will learn a lot. Be open to learn.
Yeah,
Don't be scared of challenges or falling down,
yeah,
and just enjoy your life.
yeah. Amazing. Thanks, Divyanshu.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you,